Shalom, all praises due to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Recha Kwadash. Double honors to the elect apostle, bishops, elders at Great Millstone, that we're well. Shalom to elect Ak out there doing this work in sincerity and truth, and not for vainglory in season out of season. Shalom to the elect men, women, sons, and daughters of the nation of Israel, which are the elect men, women, sons, and daughters of your so-called Negroes, West Indian, Haitians, Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians in the Americas, and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, just want to read this right quick. Esau, which we know is, Esau is the W man, okay? Esau is always trying to escape his judgment from Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, okay? He's trying to get out of it, talking about we should, I heard one white woman saying that we should just stop the hatred on both sides and just get together, or America's done. You have these Christians amongst these so-called white Christians that say, and black Christians as well, saying that oh no, Esau was done away with, Edom was done away with, right? Because they don't want to deal with the fact that Esau is one of his names and Edom is one of his names. The same race of people, so they don't have to deal with future judgment. But I want to go on the gefilte fish eaters, okay, first, and then that's one of Esau's grandsons, and then I'll go on the other sons of Esau and Edom, which Esau, Edom are the same race of people. Okay, Samuel also said unto Saul, Yahweh sent me, the Lord Yahweh sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Okay? And if you've been watching the videos, you already know who the Israelites are. You so-called Negroes, West Indian, Haitians, Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. Okay? Scattered through the four corners of the earth and in the Americas, North, South, and Central America. That's Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto the voice of the word of Yahweh, the Lord. Okay, so this was Saul. He was one of the kings in Israel. Okay, he would be a Benjamite. All right, so-called West Indian. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel. Now those are the gefilte fish eaters. Okay, because when we was coming out of when the 12 tribes, Negroes, West Indian, Haitians, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians were coming out of Israel. All the tribes were together being delivered out of Israel. Amalek, when we was going through the wilderness, Amalek attacked us. Okay, he attacked the Israelites. Okay. All right. So Yahweh said he remembered what Amalek did. The small hats, the gefilte fish eaters. Okay. It says, did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Okay. Now go and smite Amalek. This is what Saul was the king at that time. King Saul was supposed to do. Okay. All right. So, the gefilte fish eaters, the small hats, they can sit up there and claim that they're the Jews, or, that they're Jewish, you know what I'm saying, and all that, and they're in the land of Israel now. They're still going to get it, man. They're going to be destroyed out of the land of Israel when the real Israelites are being delivered by Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, being brought back into the Holy Land, which belongs to you Israelites, which are so-called Negroes, West Indian Haitians, Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. Okay? Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant, suckling ox, and sheep, camel, and ass. Okay? And that's what King Saul was supposed to do, but he didn't. Okay? But they're going to get it anyway. All right? So I'm going to just jump down a little bit more. Okay. It says, this is 6th verse. It says, and Saul said unto the Kenites, go depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For ye show kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But that's not what Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai told King Saul. He said, destroy them all. Okay? But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and of the fatlings of the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refuse that they destroyed utterly. And it came to pass, then came the word of Yahweh, the Lord, unto Samuel, saying, it repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me, and hath not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto Yahweh all night. So they're not going to escape, yo. Now this is just, the small hats, the gefilte fish eaters. Okay, this is one of Esau's grandson, Edom's grandson. All right, same nation of people. All right. Let me see. All right. It says, and Samuel came, this 13th verse, and Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, blessed be thou of Yahweh the Lord. I have performed the commandment of Yahweh. And Samuel said, what meaneth then this bleating of the sheep in mine ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? And Saul said, they have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the beasts of the sheep and of the oxen to sacrifice unto Yahweh thy power, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Then Samuel said unto Saul, Stay, and I will tell thee what Yahweh have said to me this night. And he said unto him, Say on. I didn't mean to make that way. And Samuel said, When thou wast little in thine own sight, wast thou not made the head of the tribes of Israel? And Yahweh the Lord anointed thee king over Israel? Okay, so let's go down more. And 18 verse. And Yahweh the Lord sent thee on a journey and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed. So that means they were supposed to just be utterly destroyed, mass genocided. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of Yahweh, but didst fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of Yahweh? You know, so let's go down. See, so you gefilte fish eaters, just because you over there in Israel, and you know you claiming that you're the Jews, and you know you getting all kind of reparations from America and from Germany and so forth. You know, doesn't mean that you're not going to be destroyed. It doesn't mean you're not going to pay for what you did to the nation of Israel. And you still doing it to the same very day. You hear all kind of stories of what these gefilte fish eaters are doing. And, you know, amongst the Lord's chosen people, man, which are you so-called Negroes. Which, by the way, the African-American man, if you want to call him that, that's the real so-called Jew, even though we don't use the J. Okay? All right? But that would be that would be the real Jew. Okay? All right? All right, so let's go down. Let's go down. I think it's like, let me see. Let's go down. Samuel turned about to go away. He laid hold upon the skirt of his mantle, and it rent. Okay. I think it's in 33. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so let's start at 31. So Samuel turned again after Saul, and Saul worshiped Yahweh. Then said Samuel, Bring ye hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites, which are the small hats, the gefilte fish eaters. And Agag came unto him delicately. Okay, delicately. There you go. And Agag said, Surely the bitterness of death has passed. Yeah, because he tried to escape out of it. Okay, he tried to escape that judgment that was going to come upon him. You know, surely the bitterness of death is past. No, it's not past. Okay, it's not past, because you wasn't utterly destroyed yet. You know, and you're not utterly destroyed yet now, but you will be. Okay, Obadiah. Just read the book of Obadiah. All right. Okay. It says, and Samuel said, As thy sword hath made woman childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before Yahweh in Gilgal. And that's going to happen in the kingdom, yo. You know, when Yahweh Shai comes, believe you me, that's going to happen, yo. Okay? First, some missiles going to be brought over there to Israel to burn the gefilte fish eaters out of there. You Amalekites out of there. All right? And you Arabs over there in the state of Israel. And whatever Amalekite is over here in America. Okay? All right? Okay? And Yahweh Shai going to come, and he's going to bring more fire to this place via the chariots. The so-called white man calls them UFOs, shooting concentrated fire out of his giant-sized, mountain-sized chariot along with the other chariots, okay, that the angels are going to be in. All right? So there's no escape. All right? There's no escape for you gefilte fish eaters. All right, let's go to you can claim that you're the Jew and you're the Lord's chosen people, and we're the Jews and we suffered the concentration camp and Auschwitz and all this old bullshit. Okay? All right? You ain't going to escape judgment. All right? Here we go. What is it? Let me see. Is it this? No. My bad. I think it's Ezekiel, the 25th chapter. You know? Okay. Yep. And you, see, the Amalekites, they're the head of all Esau and Edom, which are the same nation of people. Okay? All right? Okay, so let's go to the 12th chapter. Ezekiel 25 and 12. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Yeah. You took so-called black man, you took his nationality, you called yourself the real Jews. Okay? The Amalekites, they're the ones who funded put the money up for slavery for the so-called black man and the black woman. So they had the money, they set it up, they put the money forward to put the so-called black man and the black woman in slavery. I'm talking about the black man, the African-American man, as they call him, okay? And the so-called African-American woman. You put the money up for it, okay? Your birthright was stolen from you. When you read the book of Genesis, I think the 25th chapter, okay? And now there was a righteous stealing because it wasn't meant to be yours anyway. Jacob, that's the Lord's chosen, and his sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. All right? Okay? That's Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. That's his chosen people, not you Amalekites over there in Israel, in the state of Israel. All right? So you revenged yourself upon them. Everything that's set up here in America, and all over the world where the nation of Israel is at, okay, you so-called African-American men, West Indian, Haitian men, listen, man, The Amalekites are behind it all because they're the international banking families, okay? The wicked elite, all right? They set this whole system up here, all right? It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, power, I will also stretch out mine hand upon Edom and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. And Edom, you know, like I said, is the father of all you so-called white people. All right? Thus saith, it says, 14th verse, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom. You know, so you're not going to escape. You know, you steal everything that so-called African-American man and African-American woman does. You know what I'm saying? You stole their inventions. You had them in slavery. Okay? You murder them. You're murdering them in these cities. You know, hangings and, you know, I mean, still to the same very day. Like the Apostle Gabar said, you so-called Negroes, you act like slavery was 1,000 years ago, man. Okay? They were hanging Jake in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. There's stories about so-called white people trying to hang so-called black people, man. You know? All right? So it says, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom, which is so-called white man, by the hand of my people Israel, which are you so-called Negroes. Okay? And they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord power, Yahweh. All right? So you're not going to escape, yo. You're not going to escape. And the other tribes going to get it in too. So-called West Indians, so-called Haitians, so-called Hispanics, so-called Latinos, so-called Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. Okay? All right? They're going to get their hands on you too. Edom. All right? And the word Edom just means red. And that's what you so-called white people, you call yourself white. Okay? But that didn't come till later on. All right? Before, I believe, the 1600s, you wasn't calling yourself white people. You called yourself white to make yourself seem pure. All right? And righteous and holy. And we know your blood shows forth through your skin because you have no pigmentation. You have no melanin. That's why you're named Edom. Okay? In this particular scripture, your name Esau in other scriptures, because when you was born, you came out red. Okay? You had no pigmentation. All right? No melanin. All right. So there's no escape for you, Edom. Okay? You're going to have to pay for what you did. Okay? And no, Edom is still here. Okay? All right? Shalom.